We are discussing about circulatory system in human being. Particularly we are focusing on human being, but time to time we are discussing about remaining animal kingdom also. In case of human being, circulation is required for various purposes. The first important thing, to control body temperature, to send or to transport material from one point to another, then for transport of gases, particularly we have to transport oxygen and remove carbon dioxide from body, then for making immune system of body perfect, then maintaining uniformity of temperature throughout the body, removal of waste material from body. So like that, various functions are there. These all functions are achieved by circulatory system in human body. Now in case of circulatory system, in case of human, we are calling that as double circulatory system. First thing, that what is the circulatory material in human body? That is, I am dividing into two parts. One is called as blood and another called as lymph. We are now focusing on first blood. Blood is made up of two parts. One part that is called as corpuscles and another part that is liquid, which is called as plasma of blood. Corpuscles are basically divided into three parts. They are RBC, that is red blood corpuscle, WBC, that is white blood corpuscles, and third thing, thrombocyte or platelets. So particularly I am dividing these corpuscles into three parts, that is RBC, that is red blood corpuscles, WBC, that is white blood corpuscles, and lastly thrombocyte or platelet. Roughly I am discussing functions. So in case of RBC, you are aware this is red blood corpuscles, where a red color compound, a protein is present. In previous lecture only we discussed about that protein, that is called as hemoglobin, which is a chelate complex of iron. This is a carrier of oxygen in human body. So that is RBC. In case of human being, the RBCs are mature RBCs are not having nucleus. Now second cell, so what is important of RBC? That RBCs are transporting out oxygen in human body. Importance of RBC is there in hemoglobin. Now second, we discuss WBC or white blood corpuscles. Actually there is not single type of WBC, variety of RBCs, WBCs are there. Broadly speaking, they are there for immune system, that is defending our body against pathogenic attack. That whatever the virus, bacteria, protozoa, they are attacking on human body, they are defended by this WBC. We are not going into detail about classification of WBC right now in this lecture. Then thrombocyte or platelets. These thrombocytes are useful for blood clotting mechanism. When there is injury, then blood is coming out. In order to clot that, the system is there. Part of that system is played by thrombocytes or platelets. So this is about corpuscle. Whereas plasma is consisting of all dissolved materials in the blood. Particularly we have various gases. Not only that we have to consider that gas is oxygen or carbon dioxide, but apart from oxygen and carbon dioxide, various other gases are also involved in this system. So they are dissolved in plasma. Then whatever the food we are calling, that food material which is absorbed in blood, that is also there in plasma only, like glucose, then proteins, dissolved state, all this nutritious material. Then waste material produced in metabolic activity, this is also there in plasma. Metallic ions are present or non-metallic ions also. So like that, it is composed of all these things, inclusive of various hormones and all that, that is there in plasma. So I am revising again that first part of this system, circulatory system, that we discuss about blood. Now we are discussing about how blood is circulated in human being. In case of human being, we are calling this system as double circulatory system. There are tubes inside our body. First tube, that is called as artery. Artery carries out blood from heart to various organs of body. So heart to organ, blood is transported by artery. Organ to heart, blood is transported by vein. Arteries are further divided into smaller arteries, arterioles. Like that, ultimately a fine tube is produced, that is called as capillary tube. If you want to observe such capillary, you can observe in your eye, particularly white part of eye is there. On that, sometimes we have problems, some irritation or something like there in eye. At that time, you can observe red color path, that is actually capillaries you are able to observe. So like that, capillaries are present all over the body. Then they are uniting together to form venule. Then it is converted into vein, all union. And then that veins are transporting out blood from various parts of body to heart. So here we have to discuss about first tubes. Now anywhere blood is not directly sent in the body. It is compulsory in the tubes only, and therefore we are calling this system as closed circulatory system. So in case of human being, whatever the circulatory system is there, that is called as double circulation, as well as it is considered into type that is called as closed circulatory system. Now from heart, we have to discuss with some schematic diagram. So let me clarify. This is suppose heart. I am again saying this is schematic diagram only. So here, according to this schematic diagram, if you observe, there are 4 chambers in the heart. Try to remember this shape. This shape something is like V. So consider these lower chambers as ventricle. The upper chamber we have to consider as atrium or auricle. Now I am standing in front of you. I am lifting out my right hand. So you can check out, this is the right side of heart, whereas this is the left side of heart. So here I must say this side I am dividing here. This is right side, this is left side. Otherwise, usually we are saying this way, and this is right and this is left. But in case of certain anatomy, when object is facing towards you, we have to consider this is the right side of object and this is left. So here, just as I am showing that I am lifting my right hand, this is right side and this is left side. So here this is right and left. So this is called as right auricle. This is left auricle. This is right ventricle, V-shaped ventricle. This is left auricle and left ventricle. Now simply, this is, suppose I am saying this is organ. Organ means what? Any organ in our body. Let us check muscle, or let us consider that it is intestine, liver, kidney, anything. So from this organ, blood is coming out. As you are aware, blood is coming out from organ to heart. It is transported by a vein. So blood is transported from organ to heart, that is through a vein. Then from right auricle, blood enters here in right ventricle. So this is the pumping action here. Blood is collected in auricle. From auricle it is collected into ventricle. From ventricle, I am showing in some different color now. From ventricle, the blood is transported into another organ. This is general, but this is specific. I am showing it is going through lungs. From lung, blood is coming to left auricle. From left auricle, blood enters in left ventricle, and from left ventricle, blood is again transported to various organs. So I am showing here. So this is called as double circulation, because from organ to heart through vein blood is coming out. From heart to lungs through artery blood is going out. From lung to heart through vein again blood is coming out, again from heart to organ through artery blood is going out. So there is first circulation that is between heart to organ and second circulation that is between lung to heart. So that's why this circulation is called as double circulation. Now we should aware why blood is going through lungs. The obvious reason is that the main function of circulatory system is to carry out oxygen to the various parts of organ, and then second part, that is to take out carbon dioxide from various parts. And then there is exchange of gases. That exchange of gases is taking place in the lungs. And so for that purpose this circulation is there. So whatever the blood in school days sometimes wrongly called as impure blood, actually we have to use word here deoxygenated blood. So from organ, deoxygenated blood is coming to right auricle. From right auricle it enters in right ventricle. Heart is a muscular organ. A special type of muscles are there. They are called as cardiac muscles. They are never tiring muscles. Then these muscles get contracted and this ventricle through lung blood is transported, which is deoxygenated blood. So in heart, from here to here, deoxygenated blood is kept. That is going here. Where in lungs there are alveoli sacs where exchange of gases is taking place. Oxygen is absorbed. It is combining with hemoglobin to form a compound that is called as oxyhemoglobin, and then that blood is collected from lungs and it is entering again in left auricle. From left auricle it is accumulated in left ventricle, which is actually a thick walled. As compared to right ventricle, left ventricle is thick walled, and then it is pumped out through the artery. It goes all over the body. So this is basic idea about circulation. Now you are aware that when blood is transported through artery, it is called as active transport. A you can keep in mind. A for artery, A for active transportation. So when blood is transported through artery, it is actually active transportation. From organ to heart, it is called as passive, that is through veins blood is transported. But from heart to organ, it is always traveled through artery. Arteries are carrying out oxygenated blood, whereas veins are carrying out deoxygenated blood. Except, only exception is there about these two. Here I should call this artery as pulmonary artery. Keep in mind, in this Latin language related with lungs, we are calling as pulmonary. Actually the simple name should be lung artery, but we are using here Latin terminology, and so this is called as pulmonary artery, whereas this is pulmonary vein. These two things are exception. Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood. In spite of artery, it is carrying out deoxygenated blood, and pulmonary vein, in spite of vein, it is carrying out oxygenated blood. So there is only difference here. Otherwise all arteries are carrying out oxygenated blood and veins are carrying out deoxygenated blood. The purification of blood is achieved in kidneys and not in lungs. But in lungs, we can use terminology for safer side, that oxygenation, the blood is oxygenated in lungs, whereas deoxygenated blood is taken to lungs and it becomes oxygenated in lung. So basic thing that we can keep in mind, that all arteries carrying out oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery, all veins carried out deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein. Now veins are having valves for passive transport, but arteries are not having valves. Arteries are deeply situated in the body. Why? Because it is carrying out highly pressurized blood, and if any injury is there, then in immediate state artery should not get ruptured, and therefore arteries are situated inside the body part, whereas veins are there usually to the surface of body part or outside the body part. These veins are there. So basic thing we discussed, this is just schematic discussion. Now we are going to discuss something in detail. here that I have written V, some show like arrow, so here I am showing the direction. So organ to heart, it is artery, vein. Heart to organ, it is artery. Heart to organ, here I am showing arrow, that is artery. Organ to heart, it is vein. Now, in case of various organs, the artery that supplies blood, they are having name, but their names usually in Latin language. So here we have to consider some organs and they are having names. Say for example kidney. Then it is actually part of that artery which supplies blood to kidney. That is called as renal artery. As we discuss about lungs, it is pulmonary artery. For heart itself, blood is required. So without blood, heart will also not function. And then there is always question that if so much of blood is there in heart, then why heart require blood in separate manner? So we can correlate somewhat that when bank cashier is already handling so much of cash, then why salary is required for that person? Somewhat similar question is here, but scientific answer is there that our system, that is called as closed circulatory system. So in spite of blood is handled here, this blood is not utilized by muscles. For muscles, the system should be there, that is inside the heart, transport system is there, that blood is used by muscles, and the artery which supplies blood to heart, that is called as coronary artery. You are aware that various heart problems are there, particularly we are saying cardiac arrest and all that. They are mainly related with this artery that is called as coronary artery that supplies blood to heart. So like that, from various part of body, the blood is coming to heart. Now this blood is collected over a bag, which is just bag-like or sac-like part behind this right auricle, that is called as sinus venosus. From that, heart blood is entering in the heart. Now all these tubes or transportation of heart in heart, that is guarded by valves. Say my pronunciation is not that perfect, but try to get valve and valve. Valve means what? The septum here, that can be considered as valve. Whereas here the opening is guarded by valve. What is role of valve? Valve allows flow in one direction. Reverse direction flow is not allowed. From auricle to ventricle, again same thing is there. Semi-lunar valves are there. Lunar moon, semi-half. So they are having some half moon shaped structure. So they are called as semi-lunar. Right auricle to right ventricle, it is guarded by valves. Now, again, that sometime some diseases are there, heart diseases, particularly they are inborn diseases, that there is hole in wall of heart. Wall. So here may be hole. If there is hole here in between, then obvious mixing. Here we are having deoxygenated blood. Here we are having oxygenated blood. So mixing of blood is possible here only, and as a result, deoxygenated blood is also circulated in body, and that's why some diseases are problematic here. So they are actually inborn diseases. Out of that, this valve is having problem. Sometimes valves are malfunctioning out, and then that is also another problem, that blood flows in reverse direction. Now when actually cycle is there, cycle means what? The pumping. All heart, that all four chambers are not pumped at a time. There is some cycle, and every time we are getting some electrical impulse. That electrical impulses are recorded on human body also. We are able to measure these electrical impulses. We are calling that as ECG, that is electrocardiogram. Ordinary ECG machine is having some 4 probes that is checking out these impulses. but highly sophisticated machine may have even 16 probes. So from various part of body, the electrical impulse that is produced, that is measured out, and then we can find out a graph that is called as electrocardiogram. So that is ECG. From ECG we can predict out, we means doctors, they can predict out about functioning of heart, particularly related with heart diseases. The ECG is main important tool. But apart from ECG, certain other techniques are also now developed. You are aware that we are calling that as 2D echo, or simply in simple language we can call it sonography of heart with Doppler effect that is tested. So you are aware of Doppler effect, that is blue shift and red shift that is used. But here just now I am restricting out that 2D echo is also another technique that we can check out about heart. Then if there are blockages in arteries, you are aware that when human body is having accumulation of fat, that is cholesterol, that accumulation occurs inside the artery, and arteries started losing out their flexibility, elasticity is lost, and then that become more and more rigid. Sometimes the layers are accumulated inside the coronary artery also. By some means, some clot is formed inside this coronary artery, and then we are calling that as blockages. That can be observed by technique that is called as angiography. With help of angiography, we can find out the number of blockages, location of blockages and extent of blockages. But to cure that, a technique is used that is called as sometimes angioplasty. Sometimes it is also called as bypass surgery. One another technique is available that is called as chelation therapy, wrongly called as chelation therapy. It is actually named as chelation therapy. So like that, various techniques are available in order to control out that heart diseases. Usually we have general diagnosis is carried out with help of blood pressure. You are aware that when heart is pumping out, particularly left ventricle is pumping out, the blood is transported through this artery with pressure. Now here the pressure is measured by a technique. Usually in order to measure pressure, the device was used that is called as manometer. In order to measure this blood pressure, device is used that is called as sphygmomanometer. So manometer, you are aware, to measure out pressure, but in blood pressure, human blood pressure, we are measuring out with device that is called as sphygmomanometer. Normal blood pressure we are measuring, that is when it is contracting out heart and heart is relaxing out. So that is called as systole and diastole. So systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure, it is reported as normal blood pressure should be in this range, that is 120/80. This is the normal range of blood pressure. The difference should be of 40. But this is for adult male. For adult female, 10% less blood pressure is observed. So usually we can go 10% less for adult female, but for adult male it must be around 120/80. Now blood pressure varies because of various reasons. Not a single reason is there. Say for example, insomnia or incomplete sleep may also rise your blood pressure. Content of salt, more salt in food, that is also able to rise your blood pressure. Under tension also blood pressure rises, and like that various factors are there. Now this is we can initially measure out by blood pressure. It is not 100%, but initial problems in circulations can be measured by this blood pressure technique. Now another thing is that when contraction of heart is there and relaxation is there, we are able to hear pulse. So if you are checking out your hand here, suppose, so at this position you will feel something is pumping out. So pulse you can check out here. On body, some 16 different places are there where this pulse can be reported out. Now this pulse for adult male it should be, normal rate is around 72 pulses per minute. That is normal rate. But little bit here and there may be there. Little bit means what? Plus minus 10 you can consider, but not very high here and there. So at rest position, so suppose I am sitting or sleeping for a long time, then that is considered as rest position. Pulse rate is in the range of 72. But suppose you are climbing on hill vigorously, then obviously this pulse rate is not 72. It is very high at that time. Even pressure may rise at that time. When you are carrying out exercise, then at exercises time, the pulse rate increases. If you are using treadmill, having this facility to measure pulse rate, you can check out as speed increases or inclination of that treadmill increases, the pulse rate, your pulse rate also increases. So this is about this basic problem in the circulation. I am revising. The first problem we discussed, that is hole in heart, that is called as hole in wall of heart. Then second we discussed, that is about cardiac arrest, where coronary artery is having blockages. Third thing we discussed, that is about blood pressure. Fourth we discussed about the second fluid we have to discuss, that is called as lymph. When blood is running through capillary, capillary means very fine tube, which is almost unicellular, and at that time some of the liquid from blood escapes from capillary and it enters in spaces between that capillary and muscles. Then it enters in another system that is called as lymph system. So whatever liquid escapes here, that is called as lymph. It is similar to plasma, but the difference, main difference between plasma and this lymph is that lymph is having comparatively less amount of protein, almost negligible amount of protein, because this membrane of capillary is sort of semi-permeable membrane. It is not allowing protein to enter in the liquid, but all other salts and other dissolved materials, that means crystalloids, they are present in this liquid, and then this is called as lymph, which is flowing in only one direction, that is from from organ to heart. So this way it returns back to heart. That is we are calling the system that is called as lymph system. So I want to summarize, because we are just going to revise this all part. So circulatory system that we discussed, it is in human being, it is called as double circulation. Then it is also called as closed circulatory system, because blood is not directly flowing through the organ, it is flowing through compulsory tube. Then arteries and veins, major differences between arteries and veins, and then some of the diseases and remedies for that we discuss. So this is about the circulation. Now we are focusing on next topic, but before that, as usual, we have to appear for test. So get ready, take pen in hand and just observe question on the screen and write down only answer. Don't write down question. Just check out your answers now. Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood. First, what is pulmonary artery? Artery that supplies blood from heart to lungs. And as we discussed, that it is having deoxygenated blood. Otherwise, arteries are carrying out always oxygenated blood. Except pulmonary artery, because blood is going there for getting oxygenated. So this statement is true. Here these are mentioned. So first statement is true. Second, renal artery carries oxygenated blood. Again check out that pulmonary only deoxygenated, remaining all arteries are carrying out oxygenated blood. So here this statement is also true. As both statements are true, you are getting answer as A. So suppose your answer is A, then it is right, otherwise it is wrong. Thrombocytes are also called as platelets. Yes, this statement is true. Main function of RBC is to defend our body against pathogens. This is false statement, this is WBC. Then this statement is true, but now this statement is false. So first is true and second is false, therefore answer is C. Normal blood pressure of adult female should be 120/80. This statement is little bit problematic, it should be adult male. For female 10% less is there, and therefore this statement is false. Now second statement, if adult woman is having blood pressure higher than 120/80, then it is called as hypotension. You are aware that hyper is going upside, hypo is going low side. And so this statement is false. Okay, otherwise there is doubt that if 10% less is right, then 120/80 is also hypertension for women. But it is not hyper, it is hypo. And therefore the statement is false. Now fill in the blanks. This statement, both are false here. So both are false means what? Option B. Now fill in the blanks. Instrument to measure blood pressure is called as, you are aware we discussed, sphygmomanometer. Manometer is to measure only pressure. Sphygmomanometer is to measure blood pressure, human blood pressure. Then blood is transported from dash dash vessel or a tube. What is the name of that tube from which blood is transported here? So blood is transported from heart to lung through dash dash tube. We have to give name of that vessel, or we have to give name of that tube, that with which blood is transported from heart to lungs. The name is pulmonary artery. If pulmonary artery is written, then it is true, right, otherwise wrong. Check out, as usual, your score should be in range of 3 or 3 plus. If less than 3, then you have to revise this lecture again, observe again this lecture and proceed further.